All right, I'll catch folks up if they join, but welcome everyone. Thanks for joining the TechTown Detroit Catalyst Angel Program webinar and info session this afternoon. We're excited to have you here. As Don mentioned a few minutes ago, we'd love it if you could put in the chat who you are, where you're calling in from, and I guess it would also be great to know if you're with an angel group or considering becoming an angel. We'd love to know a little bit more about where you are in your journey. So my name is Christina Tamer. I'm with VentureWell, and we'll do a quick round of introductions, but VentureWell is one of the partner organizations for this really great program. So today we'll hear a little bit about one angel investor's journey and in this program, and then we'll share a little bit more about the details of the program and how you can get involved, get started, and continue on in the many things in the layers that the program has to offer. So we have 4 partner organizations in this collaboration. So let's start with Dawn, Raina, and Marlo from TechTown, hear a little bit about them and their work. So Dawn, you want to kick us off for intros?
Yeah, thanks, Christina. Dawn Bass, I am at TechTown, and my role is to help. In this particular, I have a couple of roles. One of the roles, and one that I enjoy a lot, is to help identify and recruit and help the angel build a new angel community or expand the angel community in the Great Lakes region. We'll talk a lot more about that shortly, but I am joined by Marlo and Raina. Marlo, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Marlo Rensher. I'm the Director of Technology-Based Programs at TechTown Detroit. Really happy to support this very much needed effort. Thanks.
Marlo and Raina.
Good afternoon, everyone. Raina Baker here. Happy to be on Marlo and Dawn's teams. I really support on the admin side and marketing side of things. So we'll interface as you onboard and as you get communications. I'm the one harassing folks.
In a very loving way, right, Raina?
Just gentle pushes.
Yeah, great. And then Pat, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Pat Guin, the CEO of the Angel Capital Association, and we are a professional society representing about 15,000 investors in about 250 groups that put just under $1 billion a year into about 3,000 startups or so. And we like to consider ourselves the steward of the angel investment community.
Great. Love ACA and their work. And I'll just briefly introduce myself. My name is Christina Tamer. I'm a director of programs here at VentureWell. VentureWell is a nonprofit supporting early stage science and technology innovators and entrepreneurs. And importantly, that includes the investors and investment ecosystems that enable those startups to get to market and be successful. So thrilled to be a part of this program, and we'll share more about our respective roles in a few minutes. So I know a few of you have put in where you're calling from. We've got a great Michigan contingent so far. Some people are on the move. So welcome, happy to have you. If you haven't had a chance to chime in yet, please do let us know where you're calling in from. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dawn to get us started with our programming for today.
Thanks, Christine. I do want to mention one other partner who's not on the call, but Ann Arbor Spark, represented by Skip Sims, is another key partner, in this, in this work. I cannot believe it. It's been almost a year tomorrow. We started on this journey. We were awarded a grant from the EDA to do this work. And this, about a year ago, we announced it that we would start this work. We officially kicked off about January 1st of this year and have just had a great time making the connections, bringing on new angels in the community. So our goal is, and we'll talk about this in a moment, 200 angels over the next 3 years. We have about 55 now, so we are super excited about the work that we're doing. But before we get started with that, wanted to just kind of talk with you all about, the angel journey and see if we can just get an understanding of where you are. So if you can, please go to menti.com and enter the code that's on the screen. And when you get there, please let me know you're there. Just raise your hand so we'll know that you're there. Minty.com, and that is the code. I am going to, is anybody there yet? I can't, it's hard to see and
Yeah, give us a little thumbs up in the chat or on the reactions if you're in.
thank
Great.
you, Christina. Thank you for putting that in there because now I need to share my other screen.
Yeah, yeah, just copy.
This is not your first rodeo, huh?
We got a couple of people who gave a thumbs up.
Good. Can let me know when you can share my screen, when you can see my screen. Uh-oh.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. Can you see the first question? Can you all answer the first question? Let's see what happens. Oh, there we go. Yeah, sometimes all of this fancy, I love technology when it works. Okay. So we have a couple answers coming in. How would you describe angel investing? That's the one question. Because what we are finding in the work that we're doing is that sometimes people may not have heard of angel investing. So we want to make sure we start with just what is angel investing, or how do you think of angel investing? So we have everything from I'm not really sure, I like that, high risk, high reward investment to early stage companies, individuals using their own, I have to see, I have every, hold on, their own after-tax dollars. Uh-oh, somebody's getting real technical with me. To invest in early stage, high growth, high tech startups, individuals supporting startups. Yes, angel investing is, let's see, current. Angel investing is contributing funds, expertise, resources to help small business succeed in early stage development. I love these answers and a combination of the answers. I love the fact after tax is something extremely important because it is after tax and it is individual dollars. So they're individual people, using their own money after tax. That becomes important later, later on as you're making investments when you look at some of the other benefits of angel investing. I love the response as well that talk about expertise and resources. So angel investing is more than the money. It is also lending that expertise. It could be expertise in particular industry, it can be a skill set, and it's connecting to other expertise, resources, and money. So I love that. Early stage is another key piece of this. Usually these are very, very early on. And then the whole idea of outsized returns. So that just gives us an idea of what is angel investing, or how people are thinking about it. Let's go to the next one. What are considered criteria for an individual to become an accredited investor? Let's see. You didn't know you were going to have a test, did you? Let's see what we have here. Angel investing is fun and a test in many respects. Okay, net worth, all of the above. Yep. So, accredited investor. Oh, did somebody just take away their net worth and move on? An accredited investor is a definition that's defined by the Security and Exchange Commission. I'm loving this this movement here. And yes, all of the above, all of the above. So there are some licenses, Series 7, Series 65, and I believe the other one is 82, that is considered an accredited investor. That is something new that was just added in September of 2020. Before then, it was just strictly net worth and income. The net worth requirements are $200,000 for an individual or $300,000 filing jointly for the past 2 years and expected for the next year. So that is the net worth. I'm sorry, that's the income. The net worth is $1 million in your net worth, not including your primary residence. So those are the requirements. For right now, there are some requirements for entities that are slightly different, but as an individual, these are the requirements to be an accredited investor. So then the next question is, are all angel investors are not accredited investors? True or false? All angel investors are not accredited investors. I love that circle, how it's moving. What do we have here? Most people say true. That is true. All angel investors are not accredited investors. It gets a little tricky, so you heard probably of crowdfunding. There were a number of rules around crowdfunding. The thing about crowdfunding, it wanted to open up and expand who can invest. So it does leave a lot more room for investors, particularly those who may not be considered accredited investors. So that is very true. You want to be careful because most companies that are looking for investment dollars, particularly if they're on the pathway to angel or venture capital, may or may not take or may or may not accept investments from non-accredited because of some of the other nuances in the law of how many you can accept for certain type of investments. But more importantly, from an industry's perspective, there's still some shifting about how people feel about crowdfunding, accredited, non-accredited. So that's just good to know. But most people answer that question. Okay. Why do angel investors invest in early startup companies? I like that. And that's the only response we have, huh? To make money. Fun. Oh, fun. Who said good karma? Somebody want to come off and share good karma? I like that one.
I said it.
Oh.
But actually, I do think if you've been fortunate, it's a way to pay it forward.
I like that. So here are all the ways people, next generation, share expertise. I think all of these are part wealth building. All of these are part of why people may decide, to invest in early startup companies. Angel startup companies is also one of the highest areas of job creation. So when you think about new companies creating jobs, and then angel investors are typically the ones who come in early on when it's the highest risk and the hardest time to get money, the most difficult time to get money. So in a lot of ways, it's, it is that economic development play, but it's also that wealth building. It's also mentoring support funds. So yes, it can be all of these things. Should angel investor research companies before investing? And hi, Terrence. Thank you for joining us. We will be ready momentarily. We're taking our tests so they can get ready for your conversation. Okay, everybody says yes. For sure. So although angel investors might, get a tip, I shouldn't call it a tip, might hear about a company through, through family, friends, and others, there's still a level of due diligence that you have to do. And this program helps understand all of these pieces and all of these things. How do you do due diligence? What are the risks involved? So that's something that you would learn, or someone would learn through the Catalyst Angel program. But yes, definitely there is a whole process around how do you decide to invest in a company. Okay, The risk of angel investing is the same as publicly traded stocks. True or false? All right. So there are a lot of benefits to angel investing. Some we talked about, but there also is a lot of risk. And the truth is, you can lose all your money. I mean, I won't even sugarcoat that. But Christina smiled. You really could. That's why it's important to do all the other things. That's why this class is important. This program is important because it does help you hopefully mitigate or minimize some of that by learning, by being around other investors, by being in the ecosystem. So this program can help with that. But yes, it is not the same as publicly traded stocks. With publicly traded stocks, there's a lot more information available, and it's a lot more public information to help make those decisions, and it's highly liquid, meaning if you want to get in and out, you can do so. When you're talking about angel investing in early startups, it's less fluid, it's less liquid, so you may it can be very difficult. In fact, you don't trade it. You just usually you have to wait for some type of liquidity event to get out, and that can take 5 to 7 years. So it is a higher risk. You guys are doing really good with your test. And the last question is, how many angel investors do you know? Okay, too many to count. I need to talk to you all. Where are all right. So we have a number of people on here that know a lot of angel investors. Some may know none. So thank you. That was very helpful and insightful. So I want to make sure as we move forward, it's my pleasure. You said some people said they didn't know any angel investors. Well, there are a few on this call, and one of them I have the pleasure of calling a couple of names. I won't call them; they're all good names. Yeah, he has this alter ego. Sometimes I call him T. Jeff. He knows what I mean when I call him T. Jeff. That means I need you to come speak, and he doesn't like speaking. So I'm so happy to see him today, T. Jeff. But I can also call him a friend and my a co-founder. And so Terrence Reeves is here to speak to us today. And one of the reasons why we invited him, because I am just in awe of his journey that he'll talk about momentarily, from the time from growing up to to starting his own company. Go with Canvas is a legal firm that works very closely with both early startup companies as well as the investors that fund them. He's had an extensive experience in some major I call them brand name companies, but also, with his company that he just launched almost a year ago now. It's been a year? It's been a year. Yeah, they have just been just making a lot of traction and doing the work they do extremely, extremely well. So it is definitely my pleasure to invite Terrence to talk about his journey. So Terrence, welcome to this info session.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Dawn, and really excited to share some insights and hopefully glean a few as well. In true Dawn fashion, I will say that she often makes me sign up for things without giving me all the information. Like sharing my journey was not part of the equation when I signed up, but in true fashion, she waits to disclose those details once you arrive.
But he's always ready. That's why I love it, because he's always ready. And he did get some questions beforehand. So I'll try to stick to the questions, but I don't, because it gets really interesting when you don't stick to the questions. So with that, Terrence, let me we have people from all over Michigan. The Catalyst Angel Program is all over the Great Lakes. So I have to ask you, where are you from? I got to just start there. Where are you from?
Yeah, I am from Michigan, tried and true Southeast Michigan, mostly. Spent my early years in Ypsilanti, Ann Arbor area, and then really sort of started my career in the Detroit market with some short stints in Washington, D.C., South Bend, Indiana. And now I reside in northern Texas in the Frisco area, but back and forth between North Texas and Detroit.
Yeah, so as you can see, very dynamic. I mean, he's had exposure and experience in multiple places and markets, which I think makes his journey quite interesting. So we're talking about angel investing. You know, at least growing up and even now, my parents are like, "What do you do?" They're still trying to understand what this is. When did you first hear about angel investing?
I love the question, especially on the tail end of that, the sort of the quiz that you were given. And I had to sort of think through my own sort of journey. And I first got exposed to angel investing and venture capital back in 2006 as a summer associate at a major law firm in Detroit. But I'll be honest, at that particular point in time, I fit in that sort of left-hand category. I knew absolutely zero angel investors. And where I'm from Ypsilanti, Michigan, grew up pretty poor, high school dropout, who sort of found his way. And so being in conversations with folks who were willing to write $50,000, $100,000 checks was somewhat sort of really surprising, but also sort of mind-breaking for me in a very positive way, that exposed me to a very different asset class. But even that exposure was fairly limited. It wasn't until 2012 when I started my own company. I started a startup by the name of Networking Out, which was supposed to be LinkedIn plus Fitbit to allow busy professionals like ourselves to connect around fitness or career, a virtual athletic clubs of sorts. And I started it with a couple of other gentlemen from the Detroit area. We failed, but part of that journey, we raised angel capital. And it was really sort of the process of going out to raise angel capital that really sort of gave me my true sort of experience with angel investors. And along that journey, what I quickly realized was that the people I was having conversations with didn't really look like me. And so from there, it was, but the folks that ultimately did write that first check was a group of very well-off African-American men that were in the Metro Detroit area. So that was my real first exposure outside of the practice of law in meeting real life angel investors. And it really sort of changed my life. But let's think about sort of where we are. Back in 2010, angel investing was fairly nascent in the sense that I believe the global VC and angel market at that particular point in time in 2010 was about $50 billion. Now you think about where we are now, and we're talking about a capital circulated annually somewhere in the realm of $300 billion. And so we're talking about a 6x increase. And what's driving that? Certainly you got information that's available, the YCs of the world, the tech stars of the world, and really sort of the availability of information, the Jason Calacanis's who are really popularizing sort of angel investing. And Dawn, you mentioned crowdfunding. And so there's really been this sort of confluence of factors that have attributed to the growth of angel investing as well as VC. And so really it's just an exciting time. And so much has changed since 2012 to 2020 and now in 2022, even from the sort of the tools we use to invest, convertible notes or saves, price round, even the creation of these new classes of pre-seed, seed, and micro VCs. So much has changed. So in an industry that has really sort of pinned its ears back on innovation, the investing sort of industry has also had to change during that time.
Did y'all get all that? That was I love it. That was, I mean, all the nuggets there from how the space has grown, Terrence's journey. So really interesting. So as a founder looking for funding, you ended up meeting some angel investors that invested in your company. At what point did you think I can do that or I want to do that? And then how did you start doing that? Because as a founder with a failed company, as you said, I'm guessing you didn't have any money from the company, so like how did you decide or when did you decide I want to do that and I am going to do that?
Yeah, great question. And so back in 2012, when that group of angel investors that most people didn't even know existed wrote the first check, I made the decision then that I was going to angel invest at some point in my career. And thankfully, even though we failed with that company, we were able to give those investors every single dollar back, all of our investors, every single dollar back that they invested. And that's partly because we had built sort of this de-risking strategy to make sure that we were good stewards of that capital. But from 2012 on, and ultimately I returned back to the practice of law in 2015, I knew I would be an angel investor once I met the criteria. And ultimately I hit that criteria in 2017 and started angel investing towards the end of 2017.
Wow. I like that. I like that journey. I know I saw statistics, interestingly enough, that, nationally, about 55% of angel investors were former founders. So there's that direct connection between being a founder and angel investing, although sometimes we think those as, two separate things, but yet there's some correlation and some connection.
Yeah, probably if you think back, I think Marlo mentioned karma. When you're a founder and you're asking people to write a check for you, it's a really empowering, it's a daunting feeling, but it's an empowering sort of feeling that someone took a chance on you. And so I do think there's an element or really a responsibility to give back and sort of to invest in folks the same way folks invested in you. And so I do feel that sense of responsibility as a former co-founder.
So let me, how should a new angel start investing? So now, you become an angel, you're in this space, you've seen both sides. Like, how do you start? We find a lot of people say, okay, if I've heard of it, when I hear of it, like, where do you start? Like, how did you start, and how would a new angel start investing?
Yeah, so another really great question. I'm not sure I have a great answer to it, but I'll at least sort of give some perspective. I think reading and listening are the first immediate things that people should do. And there's such a large amount of information out there. And of course, not all that information is not good, but there's some really, really good books out there, really good podcasts out there where I think there's a lot of sort of easy access learning. And so I would start with podcasts, whether it be A16 and Z, whether it be Jason Calacanis's podcast or his book, and start there as sort of a starting point. But I do think that joining an angel group is critical to your maturation as an angel investor. And why is that? Because if you're just getting started, there's so much to learn and it can be daunting. But ultimately, deal flow is king. And as an angel investor, especially a new one, whether you're networked or not, great deal flow is going to be the differentiator between more success and less failure. And so I do think that angel groups, given the collaboration, given the ability to sort of share subject matter expertise, and the ability to sort of share deal flow is really, really critical to your ability to be successful at this game. Because let's be honest, the probability that you're going to hit on more than 20% of your investments is really, really slim. And so why not de-risk your deal flow through an angel group where you can share expertise and share deal flow, share knowledge, share learning resources as part of that journey. I think the other critical thing as part of an angel group, at least one of the key takeaways for me, is know when to lead sort of with your own decision making and when to be a quick follow. And so I've had the opportunity to be part of at least some great angel groups. I got started as an angel investor in Irish Angels based out of Chicago, which is affiliated with the University of Notre Dame. And there were some members there that were just outstanding. And while I didn't necessarily understand the industry based on my own background, I learned to be a really, really quick follow by asking good questions and leaning into other people. And so you do have to be comfortable saying, well, you know what? I like this company. I don't know a lot about it. And so by instinct, maybe I don't necessarily want to invest in this company. But these people here who know a hell of a lot more than I do, they had some conviction about this. And I'm going to go ask them questions to see if I can share that conviction and make some really good investments.
And then likewise, that helps you gain the expertise and then maybe refine your theses or your decision making and also be a lead based upon your experience and expertise. So, of course, I have 15,000 questions, but I do want to make sure, one, I respect your time and see, does anyone else have questions before I ask one or two more questions? Does anyone have a question for Terrence? You can come off of mute if you have any questions. Okay. If you can come off mute or put it in the chat. If not, I will continue for our next couple of minutes before we say thank you to Terrence. So
Awesome.
did I hear someone? No? Okay.
I think I said awesome for you.
What are 2 lessons you would have known, you wish you would have known earlier in your journey, angel investing journey?
I think the probably most important lesson that I've learned over time, and this is really sort of a challenge for someone who practices for a living, practices law. I see tons of startups, clients in opposing companies that my clients may be investing in, I go with conviction over clarity. And what do I mean by that? As I pointed out before, most of your investments will fail, or they will return your money back with no multiple, no sort of increase in your IRR. And so the sort of goal of getting clarity around whether this is a good investment or not is a sort of never-ending cycle. You'll never get clarity around whether an investment is going to return you money or not. And so what I do lean into instead is whether I have conviction in the team, the company, in the market opportunity. Now, of course, that requires some due diligence, but I'm not looking for clarity, right? I'm not looking for some assurance, some happy angel or VC person to drop down on my shoulder and to give me a pat on the back that this is a good investment, or someone to whisper in my ear, no, not this one. Although, of course, conviction may lead to some of those inner thoughts. But conviction is really, really important. Do you believe, at least for me and my thesis, do I believe that this company is capable of creating a different future? Is there a big idea here? And the point at which I got that discernment is when investing and writing checks that, quite frankly, can go to other things. It can go to real estate. It can go in the stock market, although recent activity would suggest stock market is not a good thing, but buying low is critical. But that writing a check to a company that may be just at the idea stage, maybe pre-product, is certainly probably pre-revenue at the pre-seed stage, that they can make a difference, was really sort of a turning point for me. It just made it easier to write checks, not frivolously, of course, but certainly made it a little bit easier to let go of money. If I could think about sort of another sort of thing would be that founders are not taking your capital for you to run their business, right? Especially at this stage, we're talking about, as angel investors, writing fairly small checks in the scheme of things. Maybe you're writing $5,000 or $25,000 checks. If you're a super angel, maybe you're writing $100,000, $500,000 checks, which may be equal in size to a micro VC. But they're not taking your money for you to tell them how to run the business. You should have confidence that the folks you are investing in are capable of running the business as it's currently perceived, but also making really, really agile decisions about when to change course. And that's why sort of founder sort of problem fit is so important without regard to the product, whether the founders really understand the problem they're trying to solve. And so just appreciate, no matter what your experience is, and there certainly may be times where the founding team or company call upon you and ask you for your insight. That's not why they took your money. And so just appreciate that this is a waiting game. It may be uncomfortable at times. You may lose some money. You may disagree with the decisions that they make. But ultimately, you have invested in not only the founders in the company, but the decision-making of the team, which I think is a critical learning.
Yeah, very much so, because I've heard a lot of conversation around that and what you have the right to or not, or respect to or not, as an investor. One last question. Can you speak to the power of inclusion in angel investing for better financial outcomes?
You know what? I can speak to sort of the literature on it. And I can speak to sort of my personal portfolio being a reflection of the world I want to exist. And so I've currently invested in 11 companies over the last 4.5 years. I have a 0% failure rate at this point. None of my companies have gone under. All of them have engaged, at least up until the one I just recently made, have raised additional funding, which I think is a success metric. that none of my companies and investments have failed. But what I'm most proud of is that my portfolio is a mix of diversity. I got folks from all across the country, companies geographically dispersed. I've invested in women-led companies, underrepresented founder-led companies, companies led by white men, companies led by Asian founders. And so there's a diversity, a melting pot of sorts in my portfolio. And so as you could probably tell, I do believe that diversity and inclusion that's really sort of harnessed, not just for the sake of it, but really sort of leveraging diversity and inclusion as a strategy, not just from investors, not just from the founding team, but for the markets that we pursue with that company, can be a true differentiator for companies and all stakeholders involved. And so that is something that I take personal, certainly something Marlo and Dawn share with me as a co-founder of Commune Angels. But it is, I think the literature supports, whether it be Morgan Stanley and everyone else that has written about the topic, believe that diversity and inclusion is a true competitive advantage. And quite frankly, that women-led companies outperform male-led companies.
On that note, no, no, thank you, Terrence. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you coming to share your experience, your nuggets, your journey. Every time I talk to you, I learn more, and I talk to you often. So that says a lot. So I do appreciate you spending your time, the time with us today, and hopefully we'll see you again with the Catalyst Angel Program participants.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Appreciate the opportunity, and you guys happy invested.
Thank you. Okay, so that was a lot of great information. We can continue to talk about that, if we have some time after we want to go over the program itself. This is the type of conversation you have in the program. This is the type of information you would get with some of the classes that we offer. So I want to get to what is the Catalyst Angel Program. Let's see. So the Catalyst Angel Program, as I mentioned, it's been almost a year, that since we got the grant. It is a three-year EDA grant. We are charged with and excited to find and help train 200 Black, Latinx, and/or women investors during that time. We talked about accreditation earlier. That is a key component of the program. We're looking for new angels. So we're saying 2 years or less, although we do realize that maybe angels out there who may have 3 years and still may not have that comfort level. So they are also welcome. We are covering the Great Lakes region. That include Michigan, Illinois, Ohio, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. So that's exciting because it's a regional play for us. And over the time, we're hoping that we can support over 50 projects or investments totaling $37 million. This is not as a group, but we're hoping the people that come through the program will individually invest, and then we just kind of track those investments so we can report it. So this group does not make investments. We do not recommend any investments, but we do provide all of the connections, the education, and the opportunity to be in the ecosystem and learn about angel investing. So why is it important? We talked about this earlier. Our objectives are pretty simple. We want to put more money in the ecosystem, for early startup companies. Terrence mentioned and Marlo asked a question. We do know that the research says that if there's more diverse angels, they tend to invest in more diverse companies. So not only more money in the ecosystem, but also potentially more money to support a diversity of early startup companies. We also believe that by doing that, we will reduce the generational wealth gap in the underrepresented community. So that's another key component of why we're doing what we do. What are the benefits of being in the program? Of course, you can learn more about angel investing. Think about Terrence plus, or I should say 10x of Terrence in the angel community, 10x of Terrence. You have a chance to mentor entrepreneurs. You can connect with angel groups. Not only do we have ACA, opportunity or partnerships, but also locally. We connect with angel groups, and then there's no cost. There's no cost to participants to be part of the Catalyst Angel program. There are expectations while there are no costs, because we're doing this for a reason. So the expectations are you complete the courses. There are up to 9 courses. There are 6 basic courses we'll talk about in a minute. But we do want individuals who are committed to completing the courses, because that's where some of the information. We want you to participate in ecosystem activities, and we help curate those. We help let you know about those. Share your experience. We will send out surveys. We will ask you questions that give us insight, not only about the program, but what experiences are you having, and we can then either refine the program, or we can just talk about those experiences and share those with not only our grantor, but just in our respective communities, so that we can make changes there as well. We talked about reporting your investments during the program year, which is 3 years. If you make an investment, just let us know. We report that collectively. So we don't say Tammy made an investment in this company. We just report that collectively as 20 people in our program made investments totaling X number of dollars. And then we want you to tell other people about the opportunity. This is very important to get the word out about the program. Yes, we're going to talk about the courses in detail in a minute. Here's the application process. We try to simplify it, but yet make sure that we have the information we need to help those in the program. So there's an interest form that we ask those who are interested to complete. Once we receive that interest form, we review that, and then we let the person know of whether or not they're accepted or not, and that's based upon the criteria that we talked about earlier. Some accreditation, we have some other leeway or other questions. Make sure you're in the state. We have people from New York who's applying. We have folks from Georgia who wants to be in the program, but unfortunately they are not in the Great Lakes region. So we want to make sure that those criteria are in place. We at TechTown, we require everyone in our program to sign a participant agreement, basically saying all the things that we just said. I'm in the program, I'm going to complete the classes, and I'm going to report my investments when we ask for that type of information. Once you complete the participant agreement, you are officially in the program. That makes you officially in the program, and from there is where everything else starts happening. We will let you know how to start the classes. The classes are offered 3 times a year. We'll talk about that in a moment. We will also send you opportunities to participate in hands-on activity, and we'll give you an example of that momentarily. And then we will also let you know about ecosystem events that's happening in the area. So with that, I am going to ask Pat to tell us more about ACA Angel University and the classes that we offer.
Thank you, Dawn. As I mentioned in the opening, I'm with the Angel Capital Association. We're a professional society that curates content. And as Terrence mentioned, if you go back 10 years or so, what we really saw was a lot of nascent groups. So this profession is not nearly as old as some of those others that are 200, 300, or years before that. We've been around as an organization for about 20. So we have curated what we believe to be the most important and valuable content that is out there for angels. If you look at the creation of any kind of profession, it kind of starts as this art where there's a lot of ambiguity. It's based upon gut feel. What we're trying to do is to really bring out the science of angel investment so that we drive better outcomes. And so we have a lot of different ways we do that. One of them is this 9-course curriculum that's been curated on 20 years of content, but really only in the past 2 or 3. Because of the pandemic, we've had to go virtual with that, as Raina mentioned. We do offer some of those classes occasionally on a face-to-face basis, whether they be at our annual meeting, which is in May of every year, or special regional events. We will be coming October 10th to Michigan, to the Ann Arbor area, in addition to the Michigan Angel Summit. So we will be offering one of our courses there, Exits. But the great majority of them are done virtually. They're all throughout the year. There you see the listing of them and the kind of times that start. This is a 3-year program, so we're trying to push the Catalyst applicants through there in an efficient and timely manner. But we do have, and there's an Angel University going on right now. Then the next one will be in January, and then of course we'll have one at the May meeting of the ACA next year, and then again throughout the summer and fall of 2023. I think that's probably the last slide on that, Don. And if you'd like to go into any more detail, I will. But you can go to the ACA website and get a detailed kind of overview of each course. We have world-class instructors. They are all angel practitioners. And we believe that we've got the best group of diverse instructors and the best content that's out there as it relates to angel investing.
Thank you, Pat. It's important to know one of the slides said all 200 participants through this program will get will have access to the basic courses, which those are the 6 basic courses, and then 60 participants will have access to what we're calling the deeper dive or the advanced courses through ACA. Christina, so we talked about hands-on or experiential opportunities. So Christina is our primary partner for that. So Christina, can you tell us a little bit about what we do with you?
Yeah, happy to. Thank you, Dawn. So my name is Christina and I am with VentureWell, and we oversee a program called Aspire. Aspire is our investment readiness training workshop and experience for first-time founders and science and technology startups to learn how to raise money from angels. So the trick is we bring in angels and other early stage VCs into the program to work alongside the startups and the founders over the course of 5 or 6 weeks. And we are recruiting 20 investors from the Catalyst program to be mentors and residents in our Aspire workshops over the next couple of years. And we've already had 2 in the, the spring-ish, June, and then we have 3 investors participating in this upcoming fall cohort. So it's basically a chance for investors coming out of the ACA courses and the Catalyst program to put what they learned in the course to work and then sort of like test it a little bit with entrepreneurs and give them advice, hear their side of the table, and also hear from and sort of shadow some of the more veteran investors that we have in the program as well. So it's a great chance to be able to basically mentor. It's like altruistic. You get to mentor some early stage startups, get to grow your network of other investors, and basically add some nuance to what you learned in the ACA courses and really put it to work, basically. So the courses are a necessary, sort of prerequisite to like get the baseline, and then you'll enhance that through the experiential learning. So Dr. Eddie Patton, he is a VC from Texas, and he went through the program, and even someone with his level of experience, he found that like he was learning from both the other investors and the entrepreneurs. So this is a great testimonial from him, and he'll be participating in our upcoming fall program. So we're really thrilled to continue to add Catalyst participants into this program. We have more cohorts coming up in 2023.
Thank you, Christina. What's really cool about VentureWell's program, so this fall it's in Detroit. In the spring, it was in Texas, and it's from with entrepreneurs all over the country, so you get a chance to not only interact with entrepreneurs from all over the country, also different investors from all over the country, so it's really cool to, to be in that space and hear the new ideas. Skip is not with us today. He had another commitment, but this just gives you an idea of what's happening in Michigan. Angel investing was very much part of the ecosystem in 2021. Really had some good traction. Invested $287 million. There's a little bit over 1,500 angel investors in the state of Michigan that are being counted or raising their hand as angel investors. There are probably many more that we don't know about it, but it's about 1,500. With those investments, we had over almost 1,700 jobs created. So we talked about that economic development piece again. And there was 111 companies, of which 22 were women owned and 41 were minority owned. So again, talking about and talking to that diversity and the importance of diversity. This just gives you an idea of in Michigan where those deals are happening and where the angel groups are. You can go to the Michigan Angel Community website, and this full report is available, and it also lists the angel groups. Similarly, the Michigan Venture Capital Association has an annual report that gives you an idea where investments are made and a list of those the venture capital groups as well. I saw someone ask about the angel groups. There is a difference between angel and VCs. Angel invests their own money. VCs is they invest other people's money. Here we're talking about angel investors. There is a Michigan Angel Summit on October 10th that's coming up very shortly. Pat talked about, we're having in addition to the Michigan Angel Summit, or part of that, there's also an exit class that Peter Adams will be hosting or teaching on October 10th in that evening. So you go to the Michigan Angel Summit website, you can find more information about that. For people in the Catalyst Angel program, we will pay the registration fee to attend the Michigan Angel Summit. We mentioned that there's other opportunities, including we have meetings like this. There will be times when we can also, if you have questions and you're in our program, we will have opportunities to have those type of conversations, meet other people in the program. We also have opportunities for our Catalyst Angel program members to be judges in pitch competition. Mentors for not only like VentureWell, but places like TechTown Detroit. They reach out to us to see if we have any participants who might want to be mentors for that program. There's statewide angel events, and of course we think there's benefits to being a member of ACA, and of course the point of angel investing is to invest in startup companies. With that, I am going to stop sharing my screen. Are there any questions? I see there was some conversation in the chat. Thank you, Pat, for chiming in there. So the time commitment, broadly speaking, Tammy, the courses, the courses are, as Pat mentioned, they're typically 2 hours, 6 courses. They're typically over lunch, 11 to 1. Lately, they've been spread over like 6 weeks. Other than that, it just depends on if you're available. So when we have those opportunities, we send it out. We let people know when those opportunities happen, and they can decide if they want to be part of that or if they want to show their interest and then go through the process to participate.
So if you can't make a particular like if you can't make a particular class, then you can watch it recorded?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is recorded. We highly recommend that you make all the classes,
Right.
because there's some interaction questions, and then you get a chance to ask your questions, real time.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, but it's not always possible.
Yeah. Yep. But yes, to answer your question, yes. Any other questions about the program, Angel Journey?
So you'll tell
Is
us
there
how to
any-
sign up. You'll tell us how to sign up, I take it.
Well, yep, is that interest form. We'll drop that in the chat momentarily. Another thing that we've been able to do, we've learned that there's some people who want to go through this process with other people. So whether it's, they're a small community of people, or whether they're part of a group, maybe an angel group or some other group, we've been able to create cohorts within our program. So, the cohort looks like everyone signing up to take the same classes or the classes at the same time, then we build around that. So we may invite everyone to a pitch meeting or some type of ecosystem event together. So they're experiencing it together and they can have the conversation. Then we end with they usually host some type of celebration or some type of graduation for their particular cohort. So that is something else that we found people are enjoying. And so if there's a couple of people that that you have in your group at work, your angel group, that want to experience this together, or you want to invite them to experience it together, then let us know and we can hop on a call and create that experience as well. Raina, thank you. Raina just dropped the interest form in the chat. For those who are interested, it also can be accessed through our website at techtowndetroit.org. You can access the Catalyst Angel program, and the interest form is there as well. Comments, questions, excitement yet? Okay, well, we are at the hour. Time flies when you're having fun. So thank you everyone for coming. We hope to see your interest forum soon. And
Wait, can I just ask you, I just tried clicking on that link and it just took me to a general page. It didn't look like, it just sort of looked like how to sign up for Zoho. It didn't look like it was the form for this particular program.
Yep, Raina, can you drop the form from survey?
Yes.
Thank you, Tammy, for letting us know.
So is that not the right link then, or is that?
It's the right link. Our team is transitioning from one platform to another. So I think we just call it a transition, but we'll drop another one in here just momentarily so you can get to it. Any other questions? Okay. We will drop that for those who want the link to stay on. We'll have that link, for you. If you have any other questions, let us know. Thank you, Pat, Christina, being on this journey with us. We appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll be talking real soon.
And can you tell us again, like I'm going to click when you send this link, but you said it was also on TechTown. Can you tell us what the other way to access
Yep, I'll drop that one in for you too. I don't want you having to look for anything because it's all right here. Here we go. I'm gonna give this to you.
Okay, I am dropping in the survey link here. Let me know if you have any trouble. And what I can do, Dawn, just as a backup, I can email everyone on the call after the form once I know it's synced.
Okay. Let me drop text down. We can actually start recording.